we have leader of the opposition party, Pierre Poilievre, with us. Mr. Poilievre, welcome to the show.
Great to be with you, Nitin, and Merry Christmas to all of your viewers.
Thank you and Merry Christmas. Mr. Poilievre, deficit of 62 billion. Then an open letter to the Prime Minister by Chrystia Freeland, in which she criticized her own Prime Minister, own leader. Is that only the problem of the Prime Minister, or she, as a finance minister, was also responsible for the mess? Because Canada was a great country and Canada deserves much, much better than this. So what you'll say on this?
Yes, well, they're all responsible. It's a chaotic, costly clown show that's costing Canadians a fortune. While housing costs have doubled, while food bank dependence has doubled, while gun crime has doubled, while the national debt has doubled, and the most recent deficit is a mind-blowing $62 billion. That's bigger than any other government has ever run in the history of Canada. What do we have? Total chaos in the Trudeau cabinet, with his finance minister resigning the very day she was supposed to introduce her fall economic update. This is an example of how everything is spinning out of control after 9 years of the NDP Liberals. And that's why we urgently need an axe the tax election so that Canadians can elect a common sense conservative government that puts Canada first.
And Mr. Poilievre, what is your plan to fix this kind of deficit?
Slash bureaucracy, consultants, foreign aid, and bring in a dollar for dollar law that caps government spending and requires that we find $1 of savings for every new dollar of expenditure. That's how we'll phase out the deficit, bring down inflation, interest rates, and income tax so that people bring home more.
Mr. Poilievre, when we talked a few months ago and last year and year before that, the crime wave was there. And now we have seen that crime wave has not stopped. There is no bail reform. There is no changes in the criminal code, effective changes. And we have seen the retail thefts. And as per the Retail Council of Canada, in last 4 years, there is a 300% rise in the violent thefts and retail thefts. When we go to the small businesses, they say it's very hard to do a business because a jewelry store got robbed, even inside the mall. Today also, we got a footage of a jewelry store. And if we talk about the figures, there is a 5 billion plus loss to the taxpayer by retail thefts, 1 billion plus loss by the car thefts. So how will we fix these kind of crime rates and issues?
Well, we lock up the criminals. The reason we have this crime is because Trudeau passed C-75, catch and release bail, that allows the same repeat offenders out on bail within hours of their latest arrest. He passed C-5 that allows house arrest for career car thieves and bank robbers. They can now do their sentence in the comfort of their home. He passed C-83 that allows mass murderers to be freed from maximum security penitentiary to go into medium security. I will repeal, cancel all of those laws. I will bring in mandatory jail, not bail, for everyone who has a long rap sheet. Those career criminals and violent offenders will be ineligible for bail, parole, probation, or house arrest. And we will put the money into frontline police and border guards rather than back office bureaucracy and confiscation of lawful firearms. So this is a common sense plan to take back control of our streets and make Canada a safe country once again.
So if you become the Prime Minister, you will bring the required changes in the criminal code?
Yes. I will reverse all of Trudeau's catch and released, hug-a-thug laws, and I will bring in tough, long, brutal sentences for all the serious repeat offenders who are terrorizing our communities.
Mr. Poilievre, this year in April 2024, there was a crash on Highway 401, the wrong side crash, in which 4 people, the Indian grandparents, those who are visiting Canada, and the 1 infant 3 months old were killed. And those suspects in the van One of them, the passenger, he got 5.5 months of sentence, and
Yes.
his immigration status is unclear. And still, 5.5 months is a shocking to Canadians when they heard that news. It's kind of what's going on here.
Yes, it's insane. This is the catch and release, hug a thug policy of the NDP Liberals. I will repeal that policy. We will have brutal, long jail sentences for serious offenders. They will stay behind bars, and many of them will never get out of jail because of the tough. It will be. I will be passing the toughest and harshest crackdown on crime in Canadian history.
Mr. Poilievre talking about the Jagmeet Singh and hypocrisy which Canadians are seeing, what is happening. On one side, he's saying that he wants Trudeau to resign, but he won't commit to voting non-confidence in this government.
Yeah.
Also, he was seen driving a Maserati. What does that say about him?
Well, we call him the Maserati Marxist. He's driving around in a fancy Maserati while he lectures other people about being too rich. He votes to keep Justin Trudeau in power while claiming he wants him to resign. The reality is Jagmeet Singh is a total fraud, a fake, a phony. You cannot trust anything he says. And that's why we have to put pressure on him so that he votes non-confidence to trigger an axe the tax election so we can bring home the country that we knew and still love. We can bring home the Canadian promise. That promise was that anyone from anywhere could do anything, that hard work would get you a powerful paycheck and pension that buys affordable food and homes in safe neighborhoods in the freest country in the world. That's the Canadian promise, and I will bring it home.
Mr. Poilievre, holiday season is here, and before that, government announced that there will be a GST, HST tax break. And later on, we came to know that this is not a mandatory, this is optional. And then the corporate, Pepsi Canada, they refused to give a tax break into that. What do you see that the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses, they came out and gave a statement that says optional for the businesses. They don't need to give a tax break because it will be very hard for accounting of 2 years and it's not possible on so many items. What do you
Well,
say?
I said it was a costly, temporary 2-month tax trick designed to distract people from the fact that Trudeau intends to quadruple the carbon tax to 61 cents a liter if he's reelected. The NDP supports that fanatical, radical idea that will literally grind our economy to a halt. I will axe the carbon tax, not for 2 months, but forever. I'll also take the GST off new homes to save $50,000 on every new home purchase under $1 million. That will stimulate 30,000 extra home builds. This is a real plan to give permanent savings to people on heat, housing, and everything else.
Mr. Poilievre, 2025 will likely be a challenging year for Canadians, especially with the threats of Trump's tariff. What can you say to give optimism to Canadian people on this?
Well, the reason why Trump is being so aggressive is because he smells weakness. President Trump was a very successful real estate businessman in the most ruthless market in the world, New York. And when he sees weakness, he strikes. But when I'm prime minister, he will see strength. We will all have a strong prime minister in Canada. And I'll make it clear that Canada will never be the 51st state. We will be a strong, independent, sovereign nation with a proud history, a great people, and an independent future. We will continue to be the best friend in the world to our closest neighbor, which happens to be the greatest military and economic superpower the world has ever seen. President Trump has raised concerns about our border. Well, we should reinforce our border, and I will, with drones, helicopters, boots on the ground to stop the drugs, guns, stolen cars, and human trafficking from crossing our borders. He wants us to rebuild our military. I will rebuild our military, and it will be a warrior culture, not a woke culture, to defend our continent against terrorists, Chinese and Russian submarines and spy balloons, and intercontinental missiles, to keep us both safe. That requires a strong Canadian economy, which requires even more unfettered free trade between our countries. And that brings me to Mr. Trump's next concern, which is about our trade surplus with America. It's true. We sell more to the US than they sell to us, but that's because we have been giving them our resources at a discount. We're selling them our oil and gas at lower prices that they can then transform and sell off at massive profits, creating many jobs for their welders, pipe fitters, and engineers. If he puts a tariff on that, he's going to kill American jobs and drive up gas prices. I will frankly end the stupidity of this by allowing our businesses to quickly build refineries and LNG plants so that we can bring home the production to Canada and give the paychecks to our people. And, you know, as for President Trump, he puts America first. I'll put Canada first. The good news is that we share values and interests. And so both our countries can win. Let our two sovereign and separate countries lock arms in friendship to make our people richer, stronger, and safer.
Mr. Poilievre, in the end, what is your message of hope for Canadians for 2025?
My message of hope is this. Canada made a promise to every single one of you that if you worked hard, followed the law, you could have a great life. You could live in a house with a yard and have kids and a dog and have a nice vacation every winter. That was the promise of Canada, that anyone from anywhere could do anything. And that's the Canada that I'm going to bring home. We're going to restore Canada's promise in the freest country on earth. Let's bring it home.
Thank you, Mr. Poilievre.
Thank you very much, Nitin. Many blessings to you.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
It's great to be with you.
Thank you.